Good morning. Sawadee Krap. Let me first welcome His Excellency Mr. Ghulam Sarwar, Secretary General of South Asian Association for Regional Cooperation. We are very delighted, sir, of having you. His Excellency Mr. Dhan Bahadur Oli, Ambassador of Nepal to the Kingdom of Thailand. Her Excellency Ms. Rukhsana Afzal, Ambassador of Pakistan to the Kingdom of Thailand. Her Excellency Ms. Huda Ali Sharif, Ambassador at Large, Deputy Head of Mission of the Maldives to the Kingdom of Thailand. Her Excellency Ms. Saman Mali, the Deputy Head of the Mission, the Sri Lankan Embassy in Thailand. The Secretaries of Ministry of Home Affairs, the Prime Minister's Office, and Ministry of Physical Infrastructure, Government of Nepal. On behalf of ADPC and the entire project team, it is a really pleasure for me to welcome you all for this South Asian Regional Dialogue on Climate Adaptation and Resilience. Just while we are waiting for His Excellency Mr. Fayaz Murshid Qazi, the Ambassador of Bangladesh, let me just walk through the journey that we actually had for the last 5 years, and for the benefit of our dignitaries. I think we will not be able to hold you for the entire 3 days, certainly because of your schedules and other engagement, but I just want to take this 10-15 minutes initially just to tell you why we actually have gathered so many people here, and what is the importance that we really requested His Excellency Ghulam Sarwar sir to travel all the way out of the SAARC region where it is his purview to come over. So let me just quickly go through this one. And again, breaking away from the normal tradition, let me just tell you that this whole journey of climate adaptation and resilience in South Asia began with what we call this Asian expertise, and I'm really very proud that this particular project has really enhanced the capacity, and I think a lot of the people that you see here, a lot of the people already served and have left, but I'm really very proud on behalf of ADPC that we were able to maintain and deliver this particular outputs that you will be just seeing based on those expertise. It is a mix of people from South Asia, Southeast Asia, as well as outside Asia. I have absolutely no distinction much in terms of the geographical location, but when my organization was created by all of you, the 9-member countries and the 27 regional consultative committee members, the first thing that they had actually asked that while your responsibility is to build the capacities of the government office, you also have to rise on the occasion, and at some point of time, the leadership of Asia has to be visible in disaster risk management. And to that context, I generally outline the necessity and the requirement for Asian leadership, nothing else. Otherwise, I'm a global citizen, or I am a citizen of nowhere. Now, starting with the particular subject, and I think we will hear in the ambassadorial dialogue, and in terms of where we actually have, I just give you some summary, and nothing has changed so far. 2022, the flood in Pakistan, but then just repeat last 15 days. I don't think that anything has changed. When I say without any criticizing, when I say, because this is not the disaster that we are alone creating. It is human-induced, created somewhere else, then ultimately people with less resources has to suffer. So climate change is not only reality or necessity, it just now has become such an emergency that even if today we don't get much attention, we certainly would be paying the price. In terms of financial situations, I was in Sevilla, Spain, just earlier this month at this negotiation on financing for development. There's so much talk about climate change, impact, local action, but there is no actual financial commitment that those who actually could do more are doing it. I think, as you all know, that just in the COP29 meeting, when we assess, it looks like $3 trillion is needed for minimizing loss and damage. You don't even have more than $57 million in commitment. But we all have problems. All the countries, we are not really financially that stable that we would be able to contribute. But this is exactly the indicator that we should remember that climate change impact, particularly on South Asian nations, are very, very heavy and quite cost intensive. In 2020, we actually, together with the World Bank, we thought what exactly we can contribute. And this is how this program was conceptualized, both at one level, that how in the government system policy planning can be enhanced by having climate resilient tools. On the other side, also how you actually can have evidence-based climate smart decision making. And our colleagues from RIMES has been continuously updating a lot of the decision support system. I'm not yet sure how much this has contributed now for the country, but very, very positive the way some of those outputs has come up is really worth for us to look at it. For the last 5 years, Excellencies, we have worked both at the national level, helping most of the ministries, and thanks to our team in each of the countries and the ministries that are present here, we tried our level best to do something meaningful, something which is useful. Even the capacity development that we have done, I think it has an element of continuity, and we look forward to hear a lot of today. And then at the regional level, and this is where this meeting is important, that at the SAARC level, we tried our level best to facilitate both knowledge, facilitate best practices, as well as promote a lot of innovation. But that's my question, that is this still paving the way for climate resilience in South Asia? I think the answer has different one. If you look at the SDGs achievement, and until 2023, the climate action is the only SDG which is actually going backward rather than forward, and this is actually there. So this is where we are, and I'm again here saying is that it is the efforts versus the result, what efforts we are putting and what results we are getting. So that means there's a long way to go, particularly in terms of climate adaptation and resilience. The key concern, and as I discussed with you, only one in terms of the insufficient financing, but I think on the other hand, we also have a lot of systematic inefficiencies. The distortion from industrial trade and carbon policies leading to the inefficiencies. Also the overabundance of knowledge sharing, but limited understanding of terminology. I think we are still clarifying and defining how the loss and damage funds anyway will be rolled out. Similarly, we also have this problem of scalability. A large number of efforts are still at a very, very pilot one. We still have not figured out how we actually would make it sufficiently scalable so that we can achieve the optimal result. And the way forward, and this is where I think we would like to say that some of those success stories from this particular project requires to be told. And we also would like to have a large number of forums where we would like to discuss and share with you the results. Very quickly, I would like to also share some of those things that is going to happen today that we are here. For example, we will have the ambassadorial dialogue, and this is the dialogue we really want to have, how regional cooperation, particularly from a climate diplomacy, and how some of those country-specific representations and negotiations that we are doing, because those are very important for our work, because whatever negotiations and commitments are being done at the international forum, it has a meaning or impact on us. At the same time, you also would like to have stronger regional and multilateral cooperation for climate action. You will also hear a lot of the work in terms of financing, and I think experiences from most of the countries. You will also see a lot of work on resilient roads, and we are very proud that a large number of tools that has been prepared. These are not merely documents. I think you will hear from government of Nepal, particularly our secretary from Ministry of Physical Infrastructure. So those actually are the document adopted by the government. Now the challenge is how we actually implement it when we talk about rural roads, for example, how we really take these guidelines to implement. Same thing is in terms of this water sector, a lot of the work that we have done, and both in Pakistan and Nepal, and we would like to see that how these work further gets adopted in different government policies and programs. We also had done a lot of work on this climate smart agriculture, both in Bangladesh and Pakistan. We would like to see how those works gets into practice. Similarly, in terms of policy planning, I think we have our colleagues from the Prime Minister's office. We tried our level best to have a lot of the government-owned tools and the toolkit, and we look forward that this actually gets adopted further. And then we have a large component of this particular program is through capacity building, and we believe that a number of trainings would find a way into the regional organizations training as well as the national governments, universities or technical institutions training. Through this particular program, one of the things that we also promoted was allowing or promoting the private sector organization to innovate on climate adaptation, and you will hear. And that was not only in Bangladesh, Nepal, and Pakistan, but it was across all our South Asian nations, except for Afghanistan. We could not reach out because of the disturbance that it has over the period of time for the last 5 years. But we have successfully demonstrated that some of those innovative one, and I think we have some of the innovators here, that if given a chance, if understood fully by the government system, this can easily be scalable. I think this is where I would like to end with this particular quote, that either we can create tipping points for climate progress, or we would be carrying to tipping points for climate disaster. And for us, in the next 3 days, I would love that we create this collaboration for climate resilience among all the South Asian countries. So thank you very much, Excellencies, and look forward for the discussion in the next 3 days.
Thank you very much, Mr. Aslam, for your presentation and the meaningful remarks, and for setting the tone for this important dialogue. To continue, it is now my distinct honor to invite a highly respected leader in regional cooperation and diplomacy. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome His Excellency Mr. Gholam Sawar, Secretary General of the South Asian Association for Regional Cooperation, to deliver the keynote speech.
Mr. Aslam Perwaiz, Executive Director, Asian Disaster Preparedness Center, ADPC, high-level delegations from the SAARC member countries, especially the Excellencies, the Secretaries of Home Affairs, Secretaries of Physical Infrastructure, and the Secretary to the Prime Minister's Office, Government of Nepal, Excellencies, Ambassador of the SAARC countries, distinguished delegates, ladies and gentlemen, good morning, namaste, and assalamu alaikum. It is indeed a great opportunity for the South Asian Association for Regional Cooperation, SAARC, to co-host this South Asia dialogue on climate adaptation and resilience with the Asian Disaster Preparedness Center, ADPC, coinciding with the conclusion of an equally important regional project pursued by ADPC, namely Climate Adaptation and Resilience for South Asia, CARE, C-A-R-E. I'd like to thank and appreciate ADPC under the leadership of Mr. Aslam Perwaiz for successfully implementing the CARE in 3 pilot countries, Bangladesh, Nepal, and Pakistan, with valuable support from the World Bank. I'm pleased to know that CARE has, in the last 5 years, been instrumental in addressing the unique challenges faced by the vulnerable communities in our region in promoting sustainable region-specific solutions to address climate and disaster risk. As the project concludes, on behalf of SARC, I would like to convey our deep appreciation to ADPC and the World Bank for your critical contributions towards developing an enabling environment for climate-resilient policies and investments. I also thank Mr. Aslam Perwaiz for shedding light on the activities that you have carried out in the last 5 years in 3 SARC member countries. I'm sure the lesson that we had learned from these 3 countries will be scaled up in other SARC member countries, and as a region, we'll be much more prepared in facing the challenges of climate change in the days to come. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, SARC and ADPC have had long-standing cooperation in the disaster risk reduction and climate resilience. SARC duly recognizes the ADPC's dedicated work in disaster resilience, climate adaptation, and risk management in Asia and the Pacific. Particularly, the fact is SARC does care for SARC and ADPC have long-standing cooperation in disaster risk reduction and climate resilience. SARC duly recognized the ADPC's dedicated work in disaster resilience, climate adaptation, and risk management in Asia and the Pacific, particularly across the SARC region for over 2 decades. The fact is that SARC does care, so does ADPC, which is why we welcome this opportunity to work together to further strengthen our partnership and collaboration in mutually agreed priorities. Ladies and gentlemen, the SARC region is facing an existential threat from climate change. We are highly prone to the multiple disasters caused by the worsening of climate change. Climate-induced disasters such as flood, landslide, and glacial lake outbursts have today become very frequent and rampant everywhere, not least across South Asia, and setting back the developments by years and by billions of dollars. While we are meeting here in Bangkok, 1 or more countries in South Asian region are experiencing the severe floods, causing loss of many precious life and extensive damages of livelihoods and properties of our people. It is a reality that our people are vulnerable to the effects of climate change, like extreme weather patterns, inconsistent rainfall, flash floods, landslide, and glacial lakes outburst floods on a daily basis. Erratic and unseasonal weather and consequences of devastation are becoming the norm. It should worry us all that the link between the climate change and disaster is real, obvious, and tragic more than often not. While South Asia is one of the fastest growing regions in the world, our people are facing enormous challenges to sustain the hard-earned socioeconomic developments and protecting it from the impact of climate change. As the primary objective of SARC is to promote the welfare of the people of South Asia and to improve the quality of life and in a sustainable manner, it is incumbent on us to fight climate change, break the link between the climate change and disasters, and build a resilient and sustainable future for us. We can do this best only through the regional cooperation like SARC and ADPC, and integration and partnership with the global multinational stakeholders. It is in the light of this, SAARC attaches high importance in fighting the climate change through adaptation and resilience. Today, more than anything else, climate change and climate-induced disaster endanger the lives and livelihood of 1/4 of the global population living in the SAARC region. As such, climate change took center stage at the highest level of our regional cooperation. In 2010, when the leaders of SAARC countries adopted the Thimphu Statement on Climate Change. This statement emphasizes the climate resilience development, advocating for an intergovernmental expert group on climate change to provide policy directives and guidance. It is also highlighted the initiatives like promoting green technology, establishing a SAARC mechanism for low carbon project, a regional afforestation campaign, and institutional linkage for knowledge sharing. To see where we are, where we need to go, and how, we have recently reviewed the implementation of Thimphu Statement on Climate Change. The review meetings recommended a roadmap for the way forward. To work through the roadmap, the SAARC Secretariat is working on 3 projects with the technical assistance of Asian Development Bank, which are, number 1, enhance the capacity of SAARC member states to access the global climate finance, assess the viability of instituting SAARC climate funds, and number 3, frame a regional response on transboundary air pollution. Ladies and gentlemen, SAARC is also actively working on the issue of air pollution, which is another growing and urgent transboundary problem, especially in South Asia. As per the report by the World Bank, South Asia is the global hotspot for air pollution, with 37 out of 40 most polluted cities in the world are situated in South Asia. Some 60% of our population lives in heavily polluted areas where pollution level exceeds the World Health Organization's air quality standard. Critically, this means the dreams and the potential of a large size of our population to contribute to our community as a skilled workforce are hamstrung by poor air quality and multiple chronic diseases it causes. As the Asia and the Pacific is the world's urban powerhouse with over 2.2 billion city dwellers, it is imperative that we build an urban future that is climate resilient, inclusive, and sustainable, so as to contribute to realizing the ambition of the goals of development agendas. But air pollution is a key vulnerability which is putting clear obstacle in our path. Recognizing the scale of this challenge, we need to develop a clean air coalition for the region in South Asia, as transboundary air pollution requires a collective and coordinated regional response to ensure safe and healthy air for 1/4 of the global population that lives in South Asia. With ADB's support, we intend to address the health and livelihood challenges arising from the poor air quality and consider solution to multiple risks arising from the interaction between the climate change impact and poor air quality in the region. Towards this end, SAARC Secretariat has also, in last few months, collaborated with the United Nations Economic and Social Commission for the Asia Pacific, UNESCAP, and the United Nations Environment Programme, UNEP, both in Kathmandu and Bangkok, to highlight the toxicity of air pollution and advocate for action to tackle urban air pollution and climate-related challenges. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, SAARC Secretariat welcomes this opportunity to renew our engagement with ADPC. We are happy that this dialogue includes discussions on climate information and early warning system, that is anticipatory action, AA. AA should be a critical component of disaster risk management. It enables control of disaster. If we cannot prevent a disaster in a part due to our own action or inaction, then we should come together to anticipate it so that we are able to reduce the loss and damage from it. We need technology, capacity to use this technology, and effective collaboration and communication at local, regional, and global level. I take this opportunity to congratulate once again ADPC on recently becoming a founding member of the new intergovernmental organization, Cooperation on Anticipatory Action, a powerful new alliance of leading IGOs working together to scale up anticipatory action worldwide. We are confident that this proactive shift in disaster governance will strengthen early warning system and save lives and livelihoods of billions of people in the world. I would like to reiterate that it is a useful opportunity for SARC to take part in this dialogue, bringing together representatives from the governments, technical experts, development partners, stakeholders from across the region, international organizations, UN agencies, and diplomatic missions in Bangkok. I'm confident that the end of the three days, we would have advanced shared agenda for climate resilient development through consultations, knowledge sharing, partnership for regional climate resilience, and identification of financing opportunities, among others. To conclude, in my capacity as the Secretary General of SARC, I'd like to call upon all member states and our partners to prioritize regional and global cooperation on climate science, invest in resilient communities, protect and conserve the ecosystem that protect us, and amplify our collective voice on climate advocacy at global level. I strongly believe that if we leverage the real transboundary and existential threat from climate change and disasters through partnership and collaboration, we can reduce the disaster risk and promote resilience and sustainable development in South Asia. I look forward to a fruitful dialogue. Thank you so much for your kind attention.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency, for your inspiring remarks and vision for the regional cooperation. May I request you to please remain on the stage, ladies and gentlemen, to commemorate this inaugural session. May we move to the photo session first. Allow me to invite the following distinguished guests to join him on stage for the photo session. All diplomatic representatives in attendance today, may I invite all of you to please